The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
Yes.
Hi, Gus. That's how I do it.
Yes.
Hi, Gus.
Hey, Tyler.
How much fun was last night?
So much fun.
I told you, come to Austin. I'll bring you to the mothership. We'll have a good time. How funny was Duncan Trussell last night?
Oh, my God. He is just a killer.
And Gillis. We have killers there every day, every night of the week. It's just killers back to back.
Oh, my God. And that green room is just so much fun.
The atmosphere.
You can't believe it.
We're all editing each other's jokes where, Shane Gillis will say something hilarious. And, Brian Simpson will just edit the jokes the best. He'll just come up with a tag that no one would have thought of.
What I've been saying this whole time is the green room at the mothership is the best thing to happen to comedy in a long time.
That's until the AI overlords come in and take over the green room.
Oh, my God. I love it. I love the Rogan podcast so much. But golly, when he has interesting people on or really funny people on, and he talks about bears again and how strong they are, I'm like, I just can't. This is ridiculous. I mean,
bears, they'll hang from trees, and people get upset because they think they're people.
They think they're people,
and that's where the Bigfoot conspiracies come from.
I was listening. I was listening to the Sal Volcano one today, and Sal is like a super interesting dude.
Yes.
He was the star of Impractical Jokers forever. And they talked about how strong bears were and how strong chimps were for an hour and a half. And I was like, Joe does this with every comedian. He's like, bro, the chimps will just rip your face off. I read this story the other day where this guy brought a birthday cake to this pack of chimps, and one of the chimps got jealous, and they got in there and they ripped his arms off and they ripped his legs off, and he survived. How does that happen? I'm like, what are we talking about?
They can beat us so easy because we're bitch ass.
Yeah, he always says that.
Yeah. We're just bitch ass.
He's like, us with our weapons and our weak little flesh and just... God, but those bears, just how strong they are. 600-pound grizzly bear just coming up to you and just ripping you apart and eating you if you want it to.
It's so funny to listen to podcasters say the same story over and over again. Because you're like, you can almost tune out for a little while because you've heard it literally. I mean, I've heard Joe Rogan say the same story like 100 times.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I was with Ron White, and he was like, whatever we gotta do, we gotta keep doing this. And then he told me to buy the club, and I was like, oh, okay. And then we bought the one. We bought the building we were under contract for. The cult owned it.
The cult owned it.
You should watch the documentary. It's on Netflix.
Time. Oh, my gosh. I just can't believe. I mean, I know his podcast is just for him, and he just does it because he just thinks it's fun.
He doesn't care literally at all.
And it's hilarious. He has these like world-class comedians that come on, and dude, I don't know if he's got like CTE or something, but so many jokes just fly over his head.
Yes.
I'm like, dang, that one was good.
I love when Theo Von goes on his podcast, and Theo doesn't stop. He's just crack, just cracking jokes. We had this guy in our town, and he used to get on the school bus, and he was 40.
And his name was Bitcoin.
And Joe's like, no, that didn't really happen. Yeah. Jamie, Google that. Yeah. And it's like, just let him say his thing. It's funny.
Ugh. Yeah, it's frustrating sometimes, but overall, I give it an A+.
Oh, it's probably the most consistent podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
I've been listening to a lot. Top 4 podcasts are my top 4 on my Spotify. Probably JRE first. Probably Kill Tony. I listen to every one, but it only comes out once a week.
Right.
I got, this is not in particular order. And then I have Modern Wisdom. Very good podcast, but
so much fun.
it does get a little bit monotonous. So there's this guy, Chris Williamson. He started his career in the public eye by going on Love Island, the first season of the UK version.
Yeah.
And then he was like a club promoter, and then he had this whole like intellectual rebuilding, and he started a podcast, and he's actually really good, has a lot of good takes, but sometimes it does get just a little bit like, okay, let's get another like funny guy on here, because he's funny too when he wants to be, but sometimes he does a little bit of the intellectual masturbation stuff.
Yeah, he's just a classic Brit. Classic. I can't even. I've been doing Indian all day, so I can't even transfer over.
Classic Brit.
Hey, me very classic Brit.
And then Theo Vaughn's podcast is dynamite.
It is
the funniest moments. The top like 37 funniest moments from any podcast all come from Theo's podcast.
100%.
He just says the craziest thing. A bunch of the guy was like. Dude was on who's like a famous writer, and he was like, I just was always fascinated with words. He's like, yeah, man, they teach you about letters, and you're like, dang, that's cool. They make a sound, and then a bunch of words get together, and man, they make words, and you're like, where'd that come from? They in gangs now. You're like, how does that like it's funny, and you can
letters are in gangs.
You can pick it apart, but how do you start? Like, how do you just go from the idea of, like, okay, letters come together and create words, they're in gangs. Like, the way his brain thinks, don't understand it, but it just tickles me so much.
I know, even in his early days, like, we've watched, I don't know if we've ever watched on the show, but we've watched, like, his old highlights of him doing like the golf announcing.
The golf announcement is just so funny.
I don't understand. He's like in his 20s or 30s then.
Yeah.
And he's just rattling off just some hilarious stuff.
Yeah, and he's talking about like, I used to be in a cult, and there's pictures of him in the cult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he was genuinely
like in Africa.
He was actually in a cult. I want to look up the golf thing. That is just the funniest thing.
Phoning it in, bud. How are you?
We're great, man. It has to be tough on you. A lot of rain this week, a lot of subpar golf. You must have been kind of slugging through a long week of golf, huh?
I guess, man. Who even wants to play golf? That's my question. I actually missed my cousin's circumcision for this. I was in the city doing a shell game with a couple of buddies, and I got a twit that said, "Hey, we're on Bethpage Black at the 7th hole." I thought it was a porn, so I drove out here, and apparently there's a lot of golf going on.
But not much sex.
Yeah, there's a little bit. I caught a BJ in a sand trap. Yeah, and I wouldn't recommend that. But Glover won, but the news is that he's not black. That was the surprising news. I was like, Glover, not black, that's a bigger story.
No relation to Danny out there.
No relation to Danny or Leroy Glover, actually, who retired today after 13 seasons in the NFL.
Nice. Now, not to bring up a touchy subject for you, but you mentioned that BJ in the sand trap. Any sign of crabs?
Not here. Phil Mickelson lost. He came in second. I don't know if he has crabs or not. His wife has cancer, though, and we wish her well. Much more serious disease.
Nice. Did you get to meet any of your favorite players out there? Anybody you were looking forward to meeting?
No, I saw John Sally with a couple of white chicks, so that was pretty cool, and I got one of their autographs.
So the girls he hangs out with can actually write their own names now?
Yeah, it wasn't in cursive.
You're horrible.
It's not, yeah. He's first time covering golf, I take it?
Yeah, definitely my first time covering golf, and hopefully my last. There's a lot of cars here driving back on the course too, which is really dangerous at this hour. They're actually about to film a Subaru commercial out here, which actually might be more exciting than this year's U.S. Open.
And I also couldn't help but notice that I believe there's a palm tree behind you.
Yeah, there's a palm here. They brought in a couple of palms this year, just because Tiger Woods, it was in his contract. It was in his contract that he had to have palms.
New York has never looked better, and I'm also pleased to see that it's still daytime where you are. Because
it is. It's bright forever here in New York, Alaska.
Well, Theo, we appreciate you as always taking time from your shell game and your autograph collecting to join us here on The Sportsmanship. Theo Vaughn, everybody, correspondent. Give it up for him.
All right.
3-card money.
Oh my gosh! And then he came on recently to the
Oh my God! I had to take a break from my shell games. What does that mean?
He went on the
What a
SEC
year it's been for
championship.
Washington. Huskies almost certainly in the playoff. Joel McHale, former Washington player and alum.
Laid out and just the guys.
Flexing a little bit.
Yeah, we had 3
Crushed
shows here this week, and it was probably my favorite shows of the whole year.
What? Really? Why?
Energy.
Why do you say that?
It really was just a beautiful theater here, the Fox Theater, just the way it's done and laid out, and just the acoustics, and you really feel like you're close right there with the people that paid to come see you, and yeah, it just feels really connected.
You got a chance taking over the world right now.
Yes, he has got a chance to work on some material right now. The Coors Light Saturday selections, making some picks. Start with the Mid-American Conference Championship game. Toledo's only lost once early to Illinois. They take on Miami, Ohio.
I think I like Miami in this game. I like their defense. Second in the conference in scoring defense. Third against the rush. And tied for second. Io.
Quarterback or the coach. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know who's better, but I think, yeah, I had to get a tetanus shot one time in Toledo. And I'll tell you this, they got good inoculations over there. So I'm going to roll with the Toledo, what are they? The
Rockets.
Rockets, yeah, I like Rockets.
Absolutely. Toledo's 8-0 in the MAC for the first time in history. First time in history. Nice pick. Nice pick.
Thank you,
Toledo.
brother.
How about the year that DeQuan Fenn's had?
Cash, one last man, so I'm going to pass it on over.
He was giving me Boise State. I like the vibes.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to win this one, man, so I'm going to pass it on over to Lee right now.
No tetanus shot in Boise?
Huh?
No shot.
What you got?
Out of 10.
They did it.
In the American New Year's, they lost the game to.
Championships down there in another.
Hey, baby, I used to spend some time over there. I used to loiter around campus, baby. I wasn't a student, but I was there. And,
They knew you were there.
yeah, they knew. Oh, yeah. And I'm a big fan of my boy Kurt Hester. He's the speed and strength coach down there. And yeah, I got to go with Tulane, baby. Let's see what they can do. They only had one loss. I think it was to Ole
They're
Miss,
doing-
and that was a.
It's so funny. They're doing all the picks for the SEC championship, like who is going to win. And I just don't, like, whoever's called to bring him on is just probably the funniest thing ever.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's fantastic.
He's just funny on everything he's on. He went on that Down syndrome cooking show, and it was probably the best episode I've ever seen.
That was great. The little Australian Downies.
Because they're so funny already, and
Down
then
under.
Theo just kind of works at their level pretty well, and it's just the funniest thing ever. Because he can make fun of them while also being genuinely super nice to them, and it's so funny.
It is. If you haven't seen it, you gotta go.
He's not being mean,
Gotta go.
but he's
watch it.
making fun of them.
Yeah.
But he's making fun of himself. I think it's just hilarious. That dude's one of my favorite.
He's
like,
not even making fun of them. He's like acting like they're the bros,
Mhm.
like with him.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah, and the one Down syndrome guy picks up the entire chicken that they cooked, and he's like, man, he's like, that is hot. It's like, you should not be holding that. And he picks out, they did like a beer chicken, so there was a beer in the chicken's like body, and he picks up the can. The Down syndrome guy picks up the can. He's like, you should not be holding that. It was so funny. He's like, your receptors is down, bruh. It's like, your receptors is down.
Your receptors is down all the way.
Oh, I just can't believe it. He's probably my favorite. Probably my favorite. Like just personality. Like, because the comedians, some of them are really good when you watch them when they're doing their stand-up. Some of them are good at, like, we're talking about like Jerry Seinfeld wrote a really funny show, but his stand-up is like not necessarily groundbreaking, but he's really good writer. And then you got people like, who, well, I want to say Theo Vaughn, who like you can just watch his stand-up and it's really funny to watch even when you're not there.
Right.
Because the difference between being there and not being there
Big.
is huge.
Big.
But you can laugh so hard not being there, watching his.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a couple other guys. Dave Chappelle, really funny
yeah.
on his specials, like on Netflix.
Dave Chappelle, Theo Vaughn, the Shane Gillis one always gets me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about Shane's stand-up. But golly, it gets me.
He's such
like
a
frat.
bro.
He's like a frat bro.
Yeah.
It's really freaking funny. His impressions are so good.
And his new show, Tires, we watched the first season of that, which is all that's out. So like refreshing to me. It's a little bit like South Parky, where it's a little over the top on some of the humor, but I don't even care anymore because all of the comedy shows that have been coming out lately are just so filtered to be politically correct, and so this show was just so refreshing to watch. Like, there was racial humor, there was like women and men humor and stuff, and I saw some reviews from some women who are like, this is the most misogynistic, racist show of all time. And it's like, yeah, it is, but not in a mean way. Like, it's really funny, and it's not real. Like, it's a comedy.
Yeah, it's obviously a comedy.
And yeah, like, those characters suck. Like, in real life, they would absolutely suck. But they're so funny to watch. And they're characters. And the people don't suck in real life. They're just good actors. And they're good comedy writers.
Yeah.
Who can write... That's the Always Sunny effect.
Yeah, totally.
You would hate them in real life. But they are the funniest characters of all time to watch. And just to, like, laugh at them for them being racist or stupid or whatever. It's funny. It's funny.
It is funny. It is so funny, but we ain't got to tell our people that, you know what I'm saying?
No, we don't, because
know
for
it's
the
funny.
50 of you that listen, that somehow have gotten through the shadow banning, you guys obviously like stuff that's not politically correct.
And the funny thing is we rarely swear. We rarely swear.
Yeah.
It's a clean show, but it's also dirty at the same time. I don't really understand.
It's not politically correct, but it's relatively clean, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
hilarious that doesn't pass.
Like, would you play it in a church? Probably not.
No, but
like a lot of our family watches it, and it feels weird. But it's like we don't say anything. Like, is that bad?
No. But we
Maybe
don't.
I do, but
Well, we don't watch our tongues so much about the stuff that you're not supposed to say.
Right.
And that is why YouTube has not been showing any new people our content, which is fine. I was talking to Ben today, one of my friends, and he was like, yeah, how's the podcast going? Like, are you getting more viewers? And I'm like, no, we're not. It's like just kind of hanging out at like 50 or 60 people that never have commented. Maybe one or two of them, but most of those seem like spam accounts. Some of you seem to be tuning in every week, and I've never heard from any of you. So that's your cue to just leave a comment. Just leave a comment like, "Hey" or whatever. Just like, let's see where you are.
Did we get any comments on our last pod?
Let me pull it up.
That went so terribly wrong. It was unbelievable.
Ooh, I hope we did, because that was bad. And we did say we were going to do stand-up this week, and we lied. We had a very weird weekend. We'll get into that later. Not weird, but, non-standard. And Gus is pretty beat down, and don't have internet.
What?
So pull it up on your phone, and we'll talk about it.
Let me give it a shot.
How come I have no internet connection? Well, that's fine. Yeah, it was an insane weekend. Gus did something absolutely insane that only 0.003% of the United States has ever done. We'll get into that later.
3 zeros.
0003?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Oh, and it says one comment, but there's none.
Oh, it might be from the guy that I have blocked.
What guy do you have blocked?
The guy who just he spams us with like, show me your feet, show me your feet, show me your feet.
Oh. Maybe he is blocked. Wow, 37 views.
Yeah, and that's probably for the better, because for everybody who didn't see it, we tried to come up with a stand-up set in the beginning, and it was just rough. And we had like a week to prep, and we
didn't really prep that much. I had a total meltdown, breakdown. Wow, yeah, our views have been going down. Wow, yeah. See, it says podcast episode 32, Motivating the Feet People, 792 views.
Yes.
That was 11 months ago. The next one got 302 views, 331 views, 500 views. The Cone Conspiracy got 722, 439, 300, 300, 300, 300, 600, 300, 500, 200. And then, when was it? Ooh, it looks like it started to tank 7 months ago. Indian Tesla detonation.
Oh, yeah.
It went from, I got cyberbullied on Facebook, which had about 400 views, to Indian Tesla detonation, 160 views. And then it stayed around 160 until, let's see. Oh, spiked to 240 with the Steven's trip through the universe.
Well, that was a really good episode. Like, the actual content was good, so.
And then it went down right there. Has tech gone too far? At episode 62 4 months ago, that was the first one to get under 100 views. 71 views. Let's see if there's any comments on this one. There is no comments on that one. That was 62, and then it started to go down. Shadow Band Don't Care was 71 views. It was the next lowest. And then after episode 73, Elton John made us a song. 52, The Real Issues in America. 53, Launching Us into the Sun. 43, Kendrick and Drake beef, which we did think was going to get some more views. 54 views. 50 views for smackers.
Yeah.
94, 46, and now 37.
Okay, I'm going to rate them backwards from most views to least views.
Okay.
Episode 19, Relationships, 3,661 views, 100% likes.
Wow. 59 likes. Wow.
Episode 21, Crazy Fast Food Experience, 2,174 views, 98.4% likes, with 62 likes. And then we go to Motivating the Feet People, which is 792, so it jumps way down. So we had two that tried to put themselves in the algorithm and then failed.
And then it just goes.
It just tanks.
It just tanks.
Which
so
I said.
That's insane that we were attracting 3,000 feet people.
At one point,
is there even that many feet people?
Well, that was the issue. Is YouTube didn't like us anyway, but YouTube probably doesn't like the feet content either. So the feet people have their own system for finding videos. They found us immediately because we didn't know.
Right.
Oh, Griffin said, if you're going to get a Honda truck, you should get a ACTY. Those are those little funny ones.
Oh,
those
the key
things
truck?
are sick, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, we never talked about this. A couple episodes ago, and the Drake beef versus Drake Kendrick beef is crazy. We were talking about Star Wars, and we were talking about Padme, and I said, "Oh yeah, isn't that Nicole Kidman?"
I was like, "Heck yeah!"
And you were like, "Oh yeah, it definitely sounds right to me."
She's hot, dude.
And then we looked up Nicole Kidman, and we're like, "Wow, she took a turn for the worse." Natalie Portman.
Which she did.
Natalie Portman plays Padme. And actually, I'm going to look her up right now.
Natalie Portman. Yeah, we kind of had a oopsie on that one. That's just your classic brain fart.
Look, and she's still hot.
Wow.
Look, she's still hot.
Oh, yeah. She's still hot. She's had some work done, but she's still hot.
That's fine, but she's still like
Whoa, that
Yeah.
was a lot of noise.
Yeah, the laptop's gonna die soon, which is not good because then also the microphone dies. But that's okay. I'm gonna sort that out in a couple more percentage points. But Pepto Joe, one of our big fans, said 1. Natalie Portman and Nicole Kidman are not the same person. 2. I'm going to call her R-Dog from now on, which I don't know who we're referring to,
That's
but that's
Rebecca.
awesome. Oh, yeah. And then 3, NASCAR fans get Chevys or Fords. Figure skating fans get Ridgelines. He's right.
That's crazy.
He's right.
That's super crazy because the Ridgeline is the best in class truck.
You can't defend the Ridgeline.
No, you can't. I bought a Chevy. So, NASCAR.
Yeah, you bought a Chevy with a 350 V8 in it, which is not the opposite of figure skating truck. I don't think a figure skater would know how to operate that truck. But a NASCAR fan would.
NASCAR would. 100%.
Praise hail, praise Dale. I wish so bad that I could have known NASCAR when Dale was still in it.
Me too.
I feel like it would have been a completely different experience to get in while Dale was like, especially because he was driving a Chevy.
We got to get into F1. I'm telling you.
Man, why am I getting so many Look, oh my gosh, this is such a stupid thing to say, and I'm sorry to cut you off, and I'm going to get back to your point.
No. It's okay.
The notification that I keep getting is turn off notifications?
What?
Question mark.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. We need to get into F1, you said. Sorry for that.
Yeah,
That was
because
stupid.
there's some generational racers going on. There's Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Obviously, Charles Leclerc. They're like top. I don't really know many more than that, but I know Max Verstappen. That dude just keeps winning and winning and winning and winning.
See,
he's like the Dale. He's like the Dale.
Yeah.
He's like the Dale of going fast though. I mean that 190 on the straights, 100% braking power right in that turn. I mean it is just a masterclass.
The issue is Chase Elliott gets out of his car when he wins, and he's like, I'd like to thank my family. Really, all these other racers are so good, but I'm just happy that I got to get a win for the team. And thank you guys all for coming out. I'm Chase Elliott.
I burn rubber, baby.
And then Max Verstappen gets out of the car and he's like, I think the other racers are stupid. And
yeah, there's some drama.
Give me my Rolex. I feel weird without it on, but I can't wear it in the car for safety regulations.
It does. It gives you.
The people are harder to root for.
I mean, Talladega Nights does it perfectly, where they bring in. What is his name? Jean Girard. He's the F1 racer that kind of acts like all the other.
Ricky Bobby. Yeah, he does.
I will leave NASCAR if you give me one thing. Give me a kiss in the mouth.
I know. He wants a kiss in the mouth. It's so funny. You just couldn't do that anymore.
No.
Have him be like the NASCAR or the F1 guy be gay.
Yeah.
And he'll leave everything if Ricky Bobby just mooches him.
Yeah, I mean it's very similar. I mean, Ricky Bobby reminds me of a NASCAR racer, and Jean Girard reminds me of an F1 racer. Mm-hmm. They did it so perfectly.
It's just so funny to see him get out of their car, and the whole team is like, they're just poised, rich people. And I understand that the NASCAR guys are absolutely loaded, but they just are humble enough to not act like they're so rich. And I'm sure some of them do, and there's all kinds of drama.
They're just a little bit dumber. That's the thing. They're a little bit dumber because they have 2 turns.
Yeah.
And F1 drivers probably have 30 turns.
Have you heard about the Kyle Busch stuff?
You know who's dumb is Kyle Busch.
Yeah, F Kyle Busch right now.
Kyle Busch. Ooh.
I love all I've ever heard about from the whole F Kyle Busch
I don't
train.
even know why I hate him. I just hate him.
Nobody knows, as far as I know. I've never heard an actual answer.
He never did anything.
It's just
Mama,
that dude.
Why does everybody hate me?
That dude sucks. He got punched in the face. Or he punched somebody. He got punched. I'm pretty sure he got punched recently. Like, really recently.
Mama, why was everybody punching me?
And the NASCAR fined him a lot for getting punched.
For getting punched?
Well, he instigated whatever was going on, but they fined him a lot, and he got
NASCAR hates him
so
too.
much. Ricky Stenhouse could face ban after throwing punch at Kyle Busch, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, whatever. I just know that Kyle Busch got fined, and it has brought so many people into the thing.
Let me see.
Punches thrown between.
I want to see this. Hey, do we know if Ricky Stenhouse is a racer?
No, this is an ad. This is ad 101.
No, I'm not talking about the ad. I'm talking about Ricky Stenhouse.
Had to battle him off, and when there's $1 million on the line, I think all the rules go out the window of clean. So I knew that was coming. I was trying to maintain that clean air. If I lost the clean air, we wouldn't have won the race. So we maintained it all day, and man, feels good. Feels great.
Get my beer.
Congratulations, Joey
Did you hear that? Did he say that?
I
We've
think
got a
Let me
fight
see it. Let me
going on right
rewind
now
it.
between
Rewind it.
Kyle-
I want to see if he says get.
Man, feels good. We maintained it all day, and man, feels good.
It sounds like he says "get my beer" because he's getting ready to watch a fight at NASCAR. He loves NASCAR. He loves fights, and Kyle Busch is getting punched, so he's like, "Get my beer." It's the only thing that could possibly make this situation better for me.
Get my beer.
Yeah, get my beer right now. See, that's the
Hold
fun
on,
thing.
reporter lady. I need my beer.
And people just like to make fun of NASCAR. And to be fair, I like to make fun of NASCAR, but I also like to make fun of almost everything else I love.
True.
So it's like, it's fun because you can make fun of it a little bit and still love it. You can't make fun of F1. You have to be like, it's very serious and the racers are so good and blah, blah. Like, you can go and have the best time of your life at a NASCAR race and then laugh at some of the antics of like other NASCAR fans and then enjoy them, and they're saying all kinds of crazy stuff. And you're like, oh my gosh, that wasn't English. And then you just go meet somebody else. It's so much fun, and you get to make fun of it. And I feel like NASCAR people kind of don't take themselves that seriously.
No.
But they take the sport seriously, but in a fun way where it's like not, it doesn't have to be like so serious.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what I like about NASCAR. Let's go. And we talk about NASCAR a lot because it just keeps coming up.
Let's talk
And
about
it's some of
NASCAR,
our
let's
most
go.
touchy subjects that we get onto is somehow is NASCAR.
Let's go, William Byron, baby. Come on now. Race hard. Race hard. Go fast. Race hard. Turn left, baby. Come on now. Drink some beer. Bring back my beer.
I like the Hendrick team. I like Chase Elliott because his name is Chase. And that's really all I know. I like Dale Earnhardt because I have mirrors on my truck that say number 3 Dale Earnhardt.
Quite literally. That is all I know.
So now, I'm sure everybody's who's listening, which is probably 30 of you, are
30
wondering
people.
What did we do this weekend that Gus did that he's at 0.0003% of the population. And most of you probably already know if you listen and because you knew what we were going to do this weekend, but go ahead and tell them what you did, Gus.
Well, let me start off by in saying firstly, what are you? Who are you? Let's talk about the number real fast. 0.0003% of people have done what I achieved. And let me tell you what, I haven't bragged all week. I haven't said nothing. But let me tell you what, I'm about to brag a little bit here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to tell what actually happened. I announced it probably a month ago on the podcast that I was running a 50-mile race this past weekend now. And so the whole fam packed up, and we went down to Charleston, South Carolina, for this race, the Hellhole 50-miler. It's technically the Hellhole 100-miler. It's cool because they gave me a shirt. It's actually awesome because they gave me a shirt with the logo, the Hellhole logo, and then it says 100 under it.
Yeah.
And so people think I did the 100, which is kind of cool. I only did the 50. And we kept saying that. It was funny while we were on the race. It was me and Chandler, and we were racing, and and we were talking to people about what race they were doing, what length. We were talking to some 100-mile guys, and Chandler was always like, we're only doing the 50. And they were like, only the 50? They were like, you must not know how hard a 50 is. And they would always call him out on it's his first time. I would never really say anything. I was kind of locked in the whole time. But anyway, we got down there, and we all got this hotel room. It was like a 6-person hotel room with like 4 beds. We all slept together. I tried to sleep as well as I could. I was about 40 minutes away from the actual race event. I got up at 4:30 a.m., got my crap ready, headed to the race, almost fell asleep on the way to the race. That was crazy. I got there. It was delayed recovery time. I don't think so. And so I got to the race, and it was really cool because they had like coffee made, and everyone was kind of getting up because a lot of people camped there. And it was in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina, basically. It was called like Bethera, something like that. I don't even. There's actually a body of water that it surrounds. It's called the Hellhole Bay. It comes in from the Atlantic Ocean. It's like a hole. It's close to the coast. I never saw the coast, but it's close enough where you can feel the salt a little bit, smell the salt a little bit. I don't even know where I was the whole time, but got there at like 6. I think around 6 a.m. and just warmed up, ate, got ready, had my coffee, went to the bathroom, and then we were lining up, and the race started at 7:10, and we go and go and go and go and go and go through crazy dense woods. There was some like weird sandy places. They had just done a burn, like a controlled burn to like probably 5 or 6 miles of the trail. So that was like a really weird, it felt like an apocalyptic part of the trail. It was super weird. But the first lap was 18.6 miles was the first lap, and there was 3 laps, but the last 2 were 16.3. And so we were going on that first lap. By the way, a little to my training, I never really give myself enough time to train, and I never really get the miles in. So just for instance of what's going on in my head, my longest run for this prep, which was 6 weeks, was 14 miles.
Okay.
14 miles was my longest run. I was running about 30 miles a week, and this was a 50-mile race. So the muscular endurance is not it's not exactly there. And then it actually was a 5-week prep because I took the week before the race off to recover my body.
A month and a week. I grinded pretty hard, not too hard. As much as you can run in with my physique in that amount of days. You also can't just like grind harder and prep more in 5 weeks.
Mm-mm.
You have to prep at like a certain rate or you're gonna injure yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna get injured. On the 50K last year, I got a pretty bad foot tendonitis thing that went on. I had a 20-mile long run for that one, and I got back from that and was like in super bad pain, and I started up this prep and I was still having that pain. Actually just ran through it, which is not how tendonitis works. You don't just run through tendonitis. Yeah. But even during the race, no pain in my foot. The last couple weeks, no pain in my foot of training. I don't know. I think God reached his hand out.
Maybe it wasn't tendonitis
said
then.
No more. I don't know what it was. I have no idea. But it all the symptoms and where it was located pointed to like some tendonitis flare up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we were going at about 15 miles of running. It gets to like this kind of swampy area, and so it slows you down a lot, and it makes you use your mind a little bit more. It was kind of a crazy track. It was a very flat track, and they call it the hellhole because in June in that part of South Carolina, it's supposed to be just extremely, excruciatingly hot. It's supposed to be around 95, 96 degrees at the heat of the day. And we somehow lucked out. Again, God reaching down, saying, "What the freak is up, buddy? I'm going to give you an 81 degree day for this run," which was incredible. But, yeah, I got to this swampy area. It was all weird. The legs were feeling pretty good. I was having initial pains. So actually, let me rewind on the track a little bit, kind of what I was feeling. At about the first aid station, which was at 7.5 miles, I refill, I eat a bar and whatever, I get water, and then I go off, and all of a sudden I feel this what people describe. I don't get acid reflux, but it's what people describe as acid reflux.
Yeah.
It was like this burn, bloat nightmare that went from my stomach all the way up to my throat.
Yep.
And I was like, oh.
I get that.
I was like,
not even running. I just get that.
Oh God. And it started kind of local, and then it just spread through like mile after mile. And by mile 10, I was getting super nauseous and a little bit dizzy and feeling a little strange. I was having a weird pain in my hamstring. And I was like, dude, we're at mile 10. But I kept telling myself, I was like, we're 20% there.
Yeah.
I was doing everything in my mind by miles and percentages. So if you're on mile 30, you're like, let's get to mile 31.
Yeah.
If you're on mile, 49, like, let's get to mile 50. It was never like you're at mile 10. I got to go 40 more miles. It's like I have to go one more mile. That was like my mindset was like I have to just do one more mile until it's over. And it made it feel good to be at like 10 miles and you're like, I'm 20% done, because 20% is
that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good bit. And so, but I was like nauseous, and I was like kind of starting to spaz out because I was only 20% done, and I was like, "Oh no!" I'm like, and Chandler's telling me, he's like, "Dude, you just gotta gag yourself and get it out of you." And I'm like, I've heard horror stories of people doing that, and then
puking.
Yeah.
No. I would not.
That's
say
what I
puke.
said. I was like, I preloaded so many carbs, so many electrolytes for this race.
Yeah.
If I gag myself right now, I'm going to have nothing.
Yeah.
And I have 40 miles to go, and I won't be able to get down what is needed. So I just held on to that like feeling in the throat for so long, and it went away probably a little bit after we completed the first lap. So we jogged in at 18 miles, and we were feeling pretty good. I mean, like the legs were feeling okay. My mind was okay. I had a couple weird scares. On the first lap, we saw a gator, and then there was like you kind of get this like marathon brain going on where everything's a little foggy, and for me, like, people kind of space out on marathon brain, but I freaking lock in. And I saw like a shape. There was like this bridge, big like trees are overgrowing this bridge. We had to cross the bridge. There's like the handle of the bridge from afar looked like a cougar. And so like we're a quarter mile away, and I'm like, Chandler, what the frick is that? And he's like, I don't know what you see. I like pull out my knife, and I'm like walking like slow to it. I'm like, oh my God, we get within like 100 yards. I'm like, that's a freaking bridge. It's a like handle of the bridge. It was like
so funny
stuff like that. I kept doing stuff like that where I was like kind of tripping myself out for no reason. But when we came in for the first lap, you guys were all there, which was like a huge mental boost.
Yeah.
And that was a good spot to be. Everyone's there. The aid station's good. But the mental part of a lapped race, I knew it was going to be hard. At mile like 12, I was telling Chandler, I'm like, listen, this lap is going to be easy. I already knew that. For some reason, I already knew this. I was like, this lap's going to be easy. Lap 2 is going to be our hardest lap by far. Lap 3 is home stretch. And as soon as we left that aid station for lap 2, and we start jogging, and dude, it felt like 5 hours. And I looked down at my watch, and we had gone 2 miles.
Oh.
And my legs were starting to, at that, like right at mile 20, my legs were like, oh no, we're not doing this. I don't think so, buddy. You could start to feel the blisters kind of start to come up, just the overall achiness and pain of just running for that long come up. At that time, we were probably 6 hours in, and I was like, we're at like 21 miles, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to get done today. I'm not sure. Because, in my head, I have a very, like, geographical head.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of looking at where we're at top down from what I saw on the map. And I'm like, okay, we're 2 miles from the start.
Yeah.
And in my head, it was like the top down map. And I'm like, we're not even to the first, like, blip.
Yeah.
Not even. We're still 5 miles off the first aid station. And so there was one sign. I mean, it was just it was a war to get to that first aid station and settle down.
And that's 7 miles from
7.5 miles. And it was a war to get there mentally and a bit physically. And we just stopped, and I was just like, just recoup, get everything strong. Let's go. This is a new lap. It's a different lap because first lap's 18, second lap's 16.
Yeah.
I'm like, it'll be shorter. It'll feel good. Turns out, like, I asked him, I was like, yo, how far is the next aid station? Which is probably a sign. Which is probably a sign to them, like, oh no,
this guy's not gonna make it.
Yeah, they're on mile 25, and they're not looking so hot.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's 5 miles off. 5 miles on a dirt gravel road. And I was like, okay, I think I could do this. And then we get like 3/4 of a mile past the first aid station. And god dang, I've never felt pain in my balls so bad. So bad. Mile 26 rings on my watch, and I
that's a marathon.
I'm like, ah! Like almost throw up and almost go down to my knees. Like my hands are like close to the ground because I can't believe how much pain is going on just in my balls. And I go down. I'm like, is something down? Like, what's the frick is going on? And I stick my hand down there, and it is like touching lava. Like not how hot it is, but how like sensitive it is. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, and at this point I'm like, if I have this pain, there's no way I'm finishing.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then I keep walking. Obviously Chandler doesn't understand what's going on. I'm like, dude, my balls are just about to explode or something. And we walk like 100 yards, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even walk. And I get on my phone, and I'm like, what is long distance running ball pain? And they were like, the first thing that came up was like testicular torsion.
Yeah.
And it was like when your nuts just twist.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, it needs like surgery now. And I'm like, no way.
The vein and the like ball tubes twist up, and then it cuts off all circulation, and they can't like, they'll die in like 45 minutes.
Yeah. So now I was panicking big time. And I was like, wait, I have a senior ball pain correspondent on the line.
That would be me.
Tyler Chase. I give you a call, no answer. And then you text me.
I answered, and I was like, hello, Gus.
Let's freaking go. And then I called you again. I was like, yo, what the frick is going on? I don't even remember what I said to you.
You're like,
I was in so much pain.
Well, because, okay, slight, tiny backstory. I went to like your urologist recently because my nuts were just like so much pain. That's not the story right now, but that's the backstory. And so you call me and you're like, Tyler, my nuts hurt so bad. What do I do? Like, what do you do for the pain? and I was like, I basically was just telling you. Do you remember what I told you, or were you just? Because I remember what I told you.
You said you have to get him to stop moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, my first thought was like, how the frick do you run 25 more miles without them moving? And you're like, hike up your pants, hike up your underwear as high as they can go. And I'm like, I'm not even wearing underwear.
Yeah. I was like, there's your first problem.
I was wearing shorts with a liner in them, which doesn't chafe. Like underwear chafes after a while.
Dude, mine are botched. If I don't wear tight underwear and I just like am active that day, bad. So I'm used to having to like deal with that. And if you just deal with it right from the get, it doesn't become a problem. So I was trying to communicate that to you, like what I have to do. But I was telling you, like, it's not going to get better. Because I've never had it like start hurting and then get better that day. It's always the next day. So it's like I'm like, it's not going to get better, but it's not going to get worse. I was trying to tell you, like, it's all a mental thing. And I was telling you, like, it's not mental, or it's not medically dangerous.
That's what I needed to hear right there. I was like, if it's not the boys going down,
no, it's not.
We're finishing
because it's not. They're like the most sensitive part on a man's body, and there's a lot going on, and there's like one vein that comes in to the left. This is gonna get just medically accurate, anatomical. There's one vein that comes in like from the leg, and then it goes through the two, like, I think they're like semen tubes that go to the testicles. It goes through two of them, and then it takes a right turn and goes down and feeds.
A nice graphic.
And feeds the testicles. And that vein, since it has to go through those two and then take a right turn and go down, it's very delicate. And so that's my issue, is that vein is a little bit botched for whatever reason. It's actually super common. But I figured what was happening with you is like it was just getting jostled so much that it was like starting to get swollen, and that pain does not match what's going on. The pain is like literally like someone just kicked you as hard as they could in the nuts.
It's debilitating.
You can't even really walk. Like you literally can't walk if you're not racing. I can barely get around like at all. When it was bad, because it was super bad for like 2 weeks. I can't move around. But that's what I was thinking was happening. So I was just telling you like everything I learned at the urologist and on the internet and everything. And then so I don't know what happened from there. Like
yeah, because I went radio silent after that. I had to really lock in. I was around when that happened. There was me, Chandler, a dude right in front of us, and then two dudes right behind us, and we were all kind of pacing the same pace. And that happened, and they're like, dude, what's going on? I'm like, dude, my balls are just exploding. And they're like, oh no. And then we all kind of slowed down together for some reason. And then after you told me that, dude, I hiked up my shorts so high, it looked like I had a thong on. And I was like, hey, sorry boys, it's hot. It's hot boy summer. I was like, I'm not telling you to not look, but
please don't look.
But please don't look. And dude, it was like my cheeks were out, and it was like that for a while until, and then it was just like I tried to run, I couldn't run, so we had probably an hour of straight walking, which was super bad for time.
Yeah.
And after an hour, we got to the next about an hour. We got to the next aid station. I was talking to one of the volunteers, and they were just clowning me for my hat, which was a Michigan State hat. They were both Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah,
which is a rivalry, and they were just both clowning me. I was getting hot, and I was getting heated with them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, I couldn't feel my balls anymore. And I was like, yo. And I thought about that. I was like, is it my like test raising?
Yeah.
And something switched.
Yeah.
Where I couldn't feel them as much. I could still feel them, but not as much. Enough to jog a little bit. So the 5 miles to get back to the start were a little bit better, not super great. I could release the pants down a little bit.
Yeah.
And my legs just started to just pound. You could feel like just an unbelievable pain and from obviously not training for very long.
Yeah.
And then we hobbled in to the start line and it was spooky because the first lap, obviously I think we were pretty stoked to be out there and running.
Yeah.
And in a section of the trail, we must have missed, both of us, and not missed like running wise, but just in our head. Because I usually set landmarks in my head because the trail had like 5 different elements.
Okay.
It was so weird. It was like one was like deep woods, like where those kind of woods behind us.
Yeah.
And one was like, it looked like a safari. Like it was crazy, like staggered pine trees with like high flowing grass that you were running through.
Yeah.
And it was super bizarre. And one was like the apocalypse biome.
Yeah.
Where it was like it had just been control burned. There was little signs of life popping up and all the pine trees were burned.
Yeah.
And then there was the swamp biome, which was like it was cool. And then there was the pine biome, which was just like straight pine needles and just pine trees. But there was this one biome that I didn't recognize, and we were about 2 miles out from the start
that
line.
might have been the different part on the 16-mile loop, or 16-mile loop.
It was the same. The only part on the 16-mile was it cut off a little bit of woods trail for fire road.
Oh.
And we didn't recognize it, and I just like felt this lap 2. I was just like, oh no. This is bad. This is really bad. And then we finally saw a lady on the trail, and we were like, are we on the freaking right trail? And she's like, I hope so.
Oh,
and I was like, oh no. And then I saw the cougar, and I was like, oh, there he is. And I was like, felt so happy about seeing that cougar again.
That's funny.
The bridge cougar.
Yeah.
And then we crossed the road and got back to start. And that's when you guys saw us again.
Yeah.
You guys have been drinking some beers.
Yeah.
Having a good time. And we hobbled in there.
You guys looked so bad.
The blisters were coming in. The balls were hurting. The legs were hurting.
Yeah.
And Chandler had his shoes off, which is like, it's like a rule of ultra running. You're not supposed to take your shoes off, or you like kind of lose.
Uh-huh.
Or at least that's what I hear.
Uh-huh.
It's not a good sign when you take your shoes off.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of got to take the blisters and roll with it. But Chandler popping his blisters. You gave me some underwear that were fresh and clean, and I put those on in the porta potty, and I hiked those up along with my shorts. And we were off again, mentally just...
With 16 more miles to go.
16 more. We were at 34 miles when we pulled in to the start line, and we had 16 to go. And we headed out, and, there's like chapters in the book of you that you keep writing throughout your life. And there's a chapter... Mine's like an encyclopedia.
Okay.
There's a part of my encyclopedia called pain.
Yeah.
And there's a certain threshold of pain that you've felt before. And it goes up to like a max number. Obviously 10 is the most amount of pain you've ever felt.
Mm-hmm.
And this opened up not only a new page, it was a new book of pain.
Yeah.
After mile 38, it was excruciating pain, not only in the balls, but in the legs, like I had never felt. I mean, I have. I don't know if the camera will see this, but check this out on my back.
Oh,
see that
scabbed all over.
Scabbed all over. That was from my pack rubbing up and down. I did not feel that at all.
Really?
That going down. In regular life, you would feel your back chafing a lot. Didn't feel that's the amount of pain that you're in. Like when like chafing feels like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was with your underwear on. I was chafing so much, didn't matter because the legs could barely move. Our split was 1 minute walk, 1 minute run the whole entire time, and to get just a give people a picture. To get running again after mile 38, I had to. So we would walk, and it would be the stiffest walk you've ever seen. It looked like two trees trying to walk.
Trying to walk through a forest.
And to get running again, I would have to like reach my fist up in the air, come back down, reach it up in the air, and then do it like a train locomotive was trying to move.
Yeah.
And then at the last possible lift on my arm, I would fall forward and catch myself somehow with my legs and continue on but mentally in that moment, at least when we got to mile 40, I was like, Chandler, we get to mile 40 and we're going to be under 10.
Yeah.
And all we got to do is truck through it. And mentally, you're there. You're foggy. You're not seeing right. You're not feeling right. Everything is. It's literally just pain. That's the only word. Except on that lap, I found a geocache.
You found a geocache?
I found a geocache in this ammo can, and there was a little notebook in it. And I sat down and I wrote, and I was like, mile 39, legs are about to explode. Do not send help. I'm finishing. And then
That's cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and then we went on, and first aid station honestly was not very much fun because the dude there was like, it was an old dude, old leathery guy, and they were like, "How you feeling, boys?" And we were like, "Oh my god, like we don't know if we're gonna make this one."
Yeah.
And he's like, "That's exactly what I thought." At mile 200 of the Lava Bola race, and he's like, "Guess what happened?" We were like, "What happened?" He's like, "Mile 218, everything went dark. Woke up in an ice chest. They said I got DQ'd for heat stroke."
Oh.
And he woke up in a cooler full of ice.
Yeah.
I was like, "That's insane." And then the other guy standing there that you met.
Yeah.
He's like, I was like, "Man, there's just like a certain threshold of pain that you get to, that it's like a level 10 pain, but how long can you bear it?"
Yeah.
That's like the question, is like the mental toughness is like you get to max pain, and then how long can you like go with that pain? And the guy's like, he's like mile 40, right? we were like, "Yep." He's like, "Trial mile 140. He's like, "We'll see if you're at max pain." And I was like, "Heck yeah." And so we ran off, and Chandler was starting, his body was really breaking down. My body was like, my brain was trying to seize my body up and get it to stop moving. That's what it was trying to, that's how tight this running was. It felt like someone was holding two of the stiffest rubber bands around your legs, and you were trying to like move them around. And Chandler's body was failing. He couldn't. His feet were just a mess. Mine were pretty blistery, but what's a cherry on top?
Yeah,
what's a cherry on top?
I guess so.
And then we get to 40, 42, 43, 44 is just pure pain. And the way I deal with pain is a lot different than the way other people deal with pain. Like, at least, like Chandler, he goes to like a deep, dark room where he like pulls out like traumatic experiences in his past life and like pushes through with those little bits of motivation. For me, I am like hysterically laughing while doing this, like, and he asked me while we were on the trail, he's like, "Man, I have like trauma. A lot of these ultra runners have trauma, and it's a way for them to really deal with it and push past what's possible." And he's like, "But I don't understand why you do it, because you don't have any trauma." And I was like, "Chandler, I like a challenge." I was like, "That's it. that's what I like is getting out of my comfort zone. I know when I get comfortable, my brain gets uncomfortable. When my body gets comfortable, my brain becomes uncomfortable. It's a whole vicious cycle.
Yeah.
That's why I keep doing these things. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I was just like kind of hysterically laughing every once in a while. Chandler was not doing well. When he would not do well, I would turn on a Motley Crue song, or I would turn on a Leonard Skinner song.
Yeah.
And then he would every time I would turn on a song for him, he would say, "Bro, I am so glad you're playing music right now." I'm like, yeah, me too. Because it was so good having a partner to run it with, but it's also a give and take.
Yeah,
it's like he gave motivation in the first half, and I gave it in the second half.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's when I was under the most immense amount of pain that I've ever felt, and I was having to really try and grab him. I knew he would finish it, but I was really like, I was trying to keep his spirits up because he was starting to talk down on stuff and like and be weird and
yeah. I can't imagine not getting like. I mean, I don't know. At mile 1,
yeah,
I'd be saying, this is not happening.
There was a sign out there that said like forward is a pace, which is actually a really good thing to think about when you're out there. You're like, it doesn't matter if you're running or you're walking, as long as you're moving, as long as you're moving in the direction, that's a pace, and that's a pace you can set with, and you'll finish either way as long as you're moving forward. The time cutoffs are so large that there's no way if you're continuously moving forward you won't finish.
Yeah.
So we get to the last aid station, which is 5.5 miles away from the start or finish. And I loaded up. I just swallowed a bunch of freaking gummy worms, a bunch of freaking gummy bears. I every aid station, how actually I fixed the stomach problem, to go back to that, was ginger ale.
Oh, yeah.
I was chugging ginger ale. Two of the small 8-ounce ones, 2 ginger ales each aid station.
Yeah.
It worked perfectly. And they had these little ginger candies that help with stomach problems. That was all fun and games. But the last 5.5 miles felt like it felt like a loop. It felt like a bad dream that never ended. It was like you knew you had done that trail 2 times.
Yeah.
It was the swamp trail.
Yeah.
It was the swamp trail to the cougar trail. and I knew almost every section of it by that point. I'm pretty good with navigational skills. And I just knew every turn and like every straightaway, but yet like it felt like you were just stuck in the same place for so long. And it definitely took us the long, like out of the 3 laps, that was the longest one. We had to walk the last mile because it got pitch black and we were like fumbling for our headlamps. And then the trail became like kind of eerie and it was strange. And there was like, they had just released the 7 p.m. 50Kers, so they were lapping us.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we were like, are these the 50 milers? Or what are we walking for? And I got a good jog in every once in a while, but that last mile was just crazy. And then we crossed the road, and that's when you're about a quarter mile from the finish. And I was like, Chandler, at the turn, which it was probably like 0.2 of a mile at the turn. I was like, we're jogging it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, you stay behind me though. I'm winning this. And he's like, oh, you know I will. Like sarcastically. And I was like, I don't know if I believe. Like, is he about to pull something? And so we jog it out to the last bit. And man, I never felt so joyed to see everybody there. It's so foggy. It's so much pain. It felt like you had survived something that you shouldn't have survived.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I was that whole night I was like stressing out, especially that last lap, because we had seen you. From my perspective, we saw you 3 times. I saw you 4 times. I saw you at 4:30 in the morning when I woke up because we were all staying cooped up in the tiny hotel. And I was like, man, I should get up and just go with him in the morning. And then I woke up again to you closing the door of the hotel, and I was like, well, that passed. So good luck to him. And then we got there, and right around the time we got there, we only had to wait there for like 20 minutes, and you guys showed up after the first lap.
Yeah.
And you guys looked great. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And then your dad and I were like, we'll just stay here because all the girls wanted to go to downtown Charleston, and Ray was going to a concert. Everybody had something to do. But we were like, we're just going to stay here and make sure he's all right and like make sure he's got a ride home.
Troopers, baby.
And so
absolute troopers.
We went to a Walmart, which was like 45 minutes away, but we had time.
Yeah.
So we went to a Walmart and got like a little tiki umbrella and a couple chairs. We got a couple steaks and a little one-use charcoal grill and just like some snacks and
just man stuff
and some beers. And we came back and we set up our campsite and we waited around for a while. We were just chatting. And then you guys came back again. And you guys looked so bad. And that was after you had called me about your nuts hurting. And I was trying to be like only positive when I saw you. Like not like like not like say like, are you okay? But just be like, you're okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, which was hard to do because I'm very bad at just being verbose. Like everything I think, I just say.
Yep, yep.
But I was trying, and then you guys left, and I was like, oh no, that's not good. You guys were like dirty, like a car would be dirty. Like
yeah, our legs were black.
Yeah, it was very strange.
It was yeah.
I guess now I know it's from like the ash. But
it was just from the dirt. I mean,
so weird.
We were on gravel, fire roads, in the woods. We literally every biome in Minecraft you could think of.
It was so weird, and I was like, then I got a little stressed out. But I could track you, but only sometimes your phone had enough signal to like tell me where you were. And and those last like 4 laps, 4 miles, we were like, oh my gosh, are they gonna make it? And then your phone would freeze, and we'd be like, they died. and then you'd move and be like, they moved. And then we had all our stuff packed up maybe like 30 or 40 minutes before you got there. We were just waiting over by the finish line, and then it was like dark and we were just waiting. And eventually your like little guy on the GPS moved to like right at the road. I'm like, that's going to be them next. And then you guys ran in, and we were I felt relieved because I was like, I don't know if they're going to make it back. And your dad was the same way. It's like, we're just like, it's so weird to just like not really have much communication. Like we could text you and you called a couple times, but it wasn't like a constant communication. You were busy doing something. And it was 14 hours. Like you had been running since way before I was awake that day. 2 hours before I was awake, you were running. And it was a long day just even for me because it was like we were just camping all day. I was like, man, they've been running this whole time. And then when you guys got back, I was like, okay, finally. That was insane. That's too much. Right?
It was awesome. I was surprised. One thing I was surprised and not surprised was leg endurance could have been better.
Yeah.
But the mental endurance exceeded my expectations. I never got like I always felt like I was in the fight. That was the thing. Like I feel like people go through. There was a lot of ups and downs during the day, but I felt like I was usually on top of it. I was usually on top of my conscience. I never let the pain like say I was out. The ball thing scared me for a minute, and then I was like, it doesn't matter if it hurts this much. You're gonna finish it no matter what.
Yeah.
I never felt like I was ever out of the fight, which was I was proud of that. But I'll read the stats now. I know everybody's interested.
And then we'll close it out because I gotta pee.
Okay. 51.03 miles distance.
51.03.
Average heart rate 150 BPM. By the way, this is only this high because of the afternoon. From noon to about 4,
Yeah.
it got real hot.
Yeah.
And to maintain pace, I needed my heart rate a little bit higher. Also, I was having serious digestive issues, so a lot of the blood was being pumped. I could feel it. The blood was being pumped to my intestines and not my legs where it needed to be. So my heart rate was a little higher than I wanted it to be, but it was still in the range of aerobic. Average pace was 16:31 mile. I wanted 15 because that's 12 hours instead of 14, but there was a lot of, we spent a total of 55 minutes at 8 stations.
Yeah.
And then just the ball thing basically put us behind schedule.
Yeah.
Total time was 14 hours, 2 minutes, 54 seconds. Total calories burned, 4,794 calories. Average speed, 3.6 miles per hour. Average moving speed, 3.9 miles per hour. So it's just stopping for food and stuff. Beep, 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 keep going. Run time, 6 hours, 38 minutes. Walk time, 6 hours, 28 minutes. Idle time, 55 minutes.
Not bad.
So not bad. The 1 minute, totally kicked butt. I learned that from a marathon runner on the 50K. Karen, great woman.
Shout out to Karen.
She's run 350 marathons throughout the 50 states.
That's not normal.
Total ascent was 228 feet throughout the entire 50 miles.
Okay, not bad.
So that was good, but you could feel it when you were going up.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And then it says estimated sweat loss 9,416 milliliters, which I don't know how much that is in like liters. JMO, look that up for me.
That's 9.
Look that up for me.
That's 9 liters.
9 liters?
What does it say? 9. That's 9.4 liters.
Holy frick.
That's
just think a 2 liter of soda pop.
That's almost 5 2 liters.
Is that a gallon?
No, a gallon's like 3.9 liters. So that's
I
over
burned like 2.5 gallons of sweat.
Yeah.
That's mental, bruv.
Yeah.
That's mental, and I didn't feel like I was burning that much, but
well, it's just all day perspirating.
And check out these. These are just for you. Just the miles.
Oh my gosh, there's so many of them.
Look at this is 50. That was our walk mile. 1820. But check out. I had like a mental thing, right? 49, 1505. That was fast.
Yeah. That was booking it.
That was booking
point.
it. I wanted to get back so bad.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it blows my mind. I'm very impressed. Very impressed. I've never heard of anybody running 50 miles. I didn't even know you could really do that.
I didn't either.
But that's crazy.
I had no clue you could run 50 miles, but you can. And then we're on our way to do the podcast, and I roll down the window to our neighbor who's taking a bike out of his truck.
Yeah,
and I was like
an hour ago.
And I say, hey, are you doing a triathlon? He says, nah, I just bought this bike for fun. And I was like, oh, I see you running a lot. And he's like, yeah, I do ultras. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, 80 miles. I was like, what?
He had just finished 80 miles.
80 miles. He lives literally one door down from me. And we're in the 0.00. He's probably less, 0.0002.
Yeah.
And we're all on one street. There's like 10 houses on our street.
Yeah.
So if you want to be an ultra runner, move to Money Penny.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's all.
And that's it. I can't believe it. Thank you guys for all your support. The Ironman is next on the agenda. Actually, no joke. The Ironman is next. The 50 miler, everyone on Reddit, don't believe them, but everyone on Reddit says the Ironman is easier than the 50 miler just because one discipline is going to be harder on your body.
Yeah.
Then 3, we'll see about that. But let me tell you what, the walking across the podium at the Ironman and they say you are now an Ironman.
Yeah.
It's bad to the
Yeah,
bone.
it is.
And I'll do the you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm back in black.
Why don't you sing Iron Man?
Isn't
Black
that
Sabbath.
Which one?
I am Iron Man. It goes, he's Iron Man. He's dangerous. We don't like him. How does it go? Iron Man, Black Sabbath. It goes, I am Iron Man. And then it goes, yeah. Yeah, that one. Okay, that's next for you guys. And as for this episode, that's a wrap.
Get training, punks.
Yeah. Okay, goodbye, guys. Thanks for listening.
Not too much, show, only 5 weeks.
Yeah, 5 weeks of training is all you need for 50 miles. So you heard it here first. Goodbye, guys.